Hello, hello, hello. The liberal media, they're still lying. If you're watching this right now, and even if you're watching on the replay, can you please hit the thumbs up on Rumble, especially on Rumble and YouTube? Please hit the thumbs up. That's how the algorithms work on YouTube and Rumble. So please, if you would, hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. No matter how you're watching this, to be honest with you. But the lying liberal media, they're still lying to the American people. And now they're acting like we didn't know. Can you imagine going all of this time constantly lying? I mean, just blatantly lying constantly, and then just acting completely stupid, like I didn't know. You understand what I'm saying? And we're talking about Joe Biden here. The entire time, and I've been saying this ever since last week, ever since the record. Have you seen that yet? Have you heard about that? The her recording came out with the her report. The audio, they released like a couple minutes of the her report, the audio. Well, of course, when that first came out, all of the Democrats were highly upset, and they were saying, "Who released this?" They don't want to release when they can't stop it from being released. And I think, to my understanding, Axios got the recording, and they were the one who released it. So I'm not sure how Axios was able to obtain the recording before others were able to get the recording, but nonetheless, they released the recording. But then more information over the weekend came out about Joe Biden having cancer. Now, I'm not on here gonna, you know, let me make sure I put this out there because, some platforms like to think if you talk about anything medical that you're trying to be a doctor. I'm not a doctor, never claimed to be a physician, don't want to be a physician. I did play that little game years and years ago when I was a kid, doctor, where you had the little thing. I did play that. That's the extent of me being a doctor. But other than that, I'm not a doctor. I played the game doctor. That's it. So I've never diagnosed Joe Biden, never diagnosed anybody. But I've always expressed that something is wrong with Joe Biden. Something is wrong with dude. We've all known it. And then when we would say something's wrong with Joe, all of the liberal media, they'll say, there's nothing wrong with him. He's on top of his game. What are you talking about? You're just saying this because you don't like Joe. Joe Biden became a national security threat. Because if this was President Trump, come on, if President Trump, if his doctor came out and they found out that he was diagnosed with any kind of cancer from his first term, they would have been screaming saying he's not fit to run. He has cancer. The Democrats would have gave every excuse under the sun. I mean, they did give every excuse under the sun, trying to say why President Trump should not be able to go back into the White House. So this issue is prostate cancer, correct? This cancer with Joe Biden is not something that just happened in the last 100 days, the last 200 days. It's not. They're actually saying that they knew about Joe Biden's condition before 2020. In 2019. They knew something was up with his condition during that time. They abused this dude. I feel sorry for Joe. I mean, he's just an old man. He got his sick ways, but he's still an old man, and they abuse him. I remember in 2019, I said what they're doing to Joe Biden, I was calling it elderly abuse. Because what they were doing to Joe Biden was completely wrong because something was wrong with Joe. And again, I never diagnosed him at all. Just like you can see something wrong with Joe Biden too. We all saw it. But the liberal media, these Democrats, every last one of them, they can see it too, but they all kept going saying that Joe Biden was fine. He's on top of his game. They all ignored it. And you know what's more disturbing? See, I expect that the liberal media and the radical Democrats, I expect them to just come out there and lie to everybody, saying there's nothing wrong with Joe, even though you can see something is wrong with Joe. I expect all of them to lie, right? What's more disturbing is the fact that the people that was listening to them was believing it, even though they could see something's wrong with Joe. And all of the press corps, none of those in the press corps would they knew something was wrong with Joe. He never went out to the podium. To now, I'm still thinking about it. Was there ever a time that Joe Biden went out to the podium with Karine Jean-Pierre or even Jen Psaki? Did he ever go out there? Do you recall him going out there, Shannon?
I do not.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like, not a single time. Not a single time. And then on top of that, you know, they were keeping Joe Biden out of these press conferences, you know, unless he had a card with people's names on it. Or when the press was trying to ask him just random questions, they would say, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. Listen to Joe Scarborough. This is a flashback. This is a flashback. When talking about, this is, you know, this whole Robert Hur, because Robert Hur said something was wrong with Joe Biden. He couldn't remember things. He was having issues. And they were mad. They were upset with Robert Hur for relaying that information out there that, you know, I mean, we already knew it. I mean, we didn't need Robert Hur to tell us. We already knew that something was wrong with Joe. But they're upset with him because he was relaying that information. Listen to this.
I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And you.
Where we at? Where we at? I got a black screen. You see that? Remember that? This is the best Joe Biden. The best Joe Biden. And he said, I mean, listen to Joe Scarborough. Joe Scarborough, I mean, he's got it. Do you think that he feels like an idiot, Shannon? Do you think Joe Scarborough, being the idiot that he is, does he even feel like one? Or you think he's just like ignoring it?
I mean, I think that a lot of Democrats right now feel like idiots. I feel like that, you know, everything that we said was true. Once again, it's making the Republicans look like we were right, that we foresaw something that honestly they should have known, they should have seen. And then the people that did know, we exposed what a cover up and what a fraud they are. The Democrat Party is a complete fraud in so many different ways.
Yeah. And, you know, I saw a meme on X, and this meme on X saying that we're witnessing the Republican Party crumble like never before. I mean, really? They're actually saying this. This is one of the biggest scandals in American history. The Democrat Party trying to hide Joe Biden's cognitive abilities, his medical condition, him not being able to remember anything, Joe Biden going on stage, shaking invisible hands. All of this, they all ignored it while we kept screaming about it. And now it's all coming to the surface. And now it's like, now they have to acknowledge it. Why didn't they acknowledge it before? Why would they ignore it before? Now they're acknowledging it. Now they want to make it look like, well, this is a new revelation about Joe Biden. We didn't know. We didn't know. How did we not? How did you not know? The American people knew. The American people knew. Listen to this one with Ratskin. Ratskin, this is another one, blast from the past. And I'm just showing this to you because they knew something was wrong. We knew something was wrong, and they were lying. Don't believe your lying eyes, is what they were saying.
Does this raise alarms about whether President Biden is fit to serve another term in office?
Well, undoubtedly, that's what Robert Hur, who comes from my state, he's a Maryland Republican. Undoubtedly, that's what he intended to do with those ridiculous cheap shots. I just spent an hour with President Biden and the entire Democratic caucus where he regaled and entertained everyone for an hour and went through all of the extraordinary accomplishments of his administration, including the Inflation Reduction Act. We've got the best economy in the world right now, the creation of millions and millions of jobs, just an extraordinary record to run on. So they're going to come up with some cheap shots like that.
What's the cheap shots? The truth? So now the truth is a cheap shot. The truth now is a cheap shot. They were lying. They got caught in a lie. They were mad because Robert Hur released information about Joe Biden, saying that something's wrong with Joe Biden. And because something's wrong with Joe Biden, he put that in his report. And they're mad at him for doing so. Like, we know something's wrong with Joe. You're not supposed to tell it because now we have to address it. And they didn't want to address it. So then they started attacking Robert Hur, saying he's not a medical doctor. He's not a medical doctor. He shouldn't be putting this information out there. Is anyone else see what's happening here? You know, for me, when I look at these Democrats, only thing that comes to mind is that there's a reprobate mind. These are reprobates. Every last one of them. They come out and they constantly lie. And there's no penalty for them lying, apparently, because even though they lied all this time about Joe Biden, not to us. See, they're not lying to us because we knew something was wrong with Joe. We knew something was wrong with Joe. So they went on there and they constantly lied. And the people that believe that nonsense, they were believing that nothing was wrong with Joe, even though they could see something's wrong with Joe. So what does it say about the people that was believing this nonsense? Are you that easily manipulated? Does it make sense to anybody? That they're literally believing the lies, and then they get mad at us because we don't believe the lies. Like, here's another one, Joe Scarborough, talking about Robert Hur. And see, all of this is connected. Same thing like with the cancer. You know, they were hiding that information with Joe Biden because, again, let me make sure I'm clear about this. I'm not a physician, not a doctor, but this prostate cancer is something that just didn't come about. They've known about it for years. This is part of the reason why they didn't want anyone talking to the White House doctor, because then just maybe the White House doctor would have released that information. Well, here's another one with Joe Scarborough, blast from the past, where they were upset. Can we bring it over? Where we at? Listen to this.
I wonder what pasture he will walk off into.
I don't know.
Just kind of wander off and say, well, you know, and Joe Biden, I noticed he didn't really tie his tie well. The tie knot suggested that maybe he has arthritis in his left thumb.
Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying this guy says such random shit about
Joe, stop.
Stop. He's a kindly old man who could not remember his son's birthday. Like, he wandered off into a pasture here and, you know, maybe Arnold the pig led him there. I don't know. No, you should apologize for her because
I shouldn't have asked.
I don't know exactly. Like, does he hope he gets a judgeship? I think he does. Yeah. I think he hopes he gets a judgeship. If Donald Trump gets elected again, he's trying out because he humiliated himself with that display.
Jackie Alamedi has actual reporting on this.
Oh, my goodness. Did Robert Hur humiliate himself? Did he humiliate himself? No, actually, he just came out and told the truth. And every time you relay the truth with these Democrats, they don't want to hear it. Did you want to say something, Shannon? Did you want to say something? Okay, so here's another prime example. And I know a lot of people like going down this memory lane, and thank God that this mop head is no longer in the press secretary. I'm so glad. I think she's maybe done one interview since she's left, maybe. Or has she been really quiet? I mean, she actually been pretty quiet. She was a press secretary. She had a lot to say when she was in the position, and she lied every single day. What do you think? And see, I have family members and I had, friends that don't talk to me any longer. that was believing everything that Karine Jean-Pierre was saying, everything that the Democrats were saying. And now it's coming to their face, it's slapping them in the face that everything that they were being told by them was a lie. Do you think that this is going to be like a wake-up call for any of them? You think any of them going to wake up to this? Be honest with you, I don't think so. They're going to say, well, we need to move forward. Because, see, that's been the latest talking point. We need to move forward. We knew something was wrong with Joe, but we need to move forward. We don't need to look back in the past because they want to ignore. The last 4 years was a lie. The Democrats were lying to their constituents the last 4 years. Of course, they've been lying to them ever since. But it's just evident. The last 4 years, they've been lying like it wasn't nothing.
Doctor, when can we talk to the president's doctor, and how come they haven't been asked to come out here and talk with us, given the Her report that challenges the president's mental fitness?
So look, just to speak to the Her report really, really quickly. Special counsel Her is, as far as I remember, is obviously a Republican, a prosecutor. He's not a medical doctor. He's just not. It's not for him to speak to. It's just not. And you've heard from over the past couple of days since the report has been out, you've heard from legal experts from across the ideological spectrum, even former attorney general. And he says, and they have come out to say that the stuff in this report that is capturing all of your attention right now is just wrong. It's flatly wrong. It is inappropriate. It is gratuitous. And so going to leave that there, and it is obviously up for a medical doctor to decide on that. But look, I have said the medical doctor, the president's doctor, is going to do a physical. He's going to, and he has always put forth in the last 2 years a detailed memo on the president's obviously medical physical. And so I'm just going to leave it there. I don't have anything else to add. Go ahead, Jared.
So what do you think? What do you think? Do you think they knew about Joe Biden's cancer 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Do you think they knew about it? I mean, they were asking, when are we going to talk? When do we get a statement from the White House physician? When are we going to get him to come out? And he says, well, he does a physical every year. Okay, this is the stage or the level, to my understanding, from the information that I've seen, the level of cancer that Joe Biden is at right now is something that didn't happen in the last 120 days. It's been there for years. They've known about it. They're also, as I mentioned before, they're also saying that it was there before 2020. So they knew going into it. They knew when he said that he was running during the primary that he had this issue. They have liberals saying this. They knew that there was an issue there with Joe Biden.
I mean, you have sources now. People that sourced the book were people that were saying he was just fine. And what is the point of having a medical doctor? And what's the point of them releasing a report if they're not going to be honest? I mean, every time there's going to be a report from here on out, from a doctor reporting on a president, the other side is always going to say, well, we now have historical evidence that the doctor does not always tell us exactly what's wrong with the president, all because of the Democrats. Not because of the Republicans, but because of the Democrats. This has been a huge cover-up. And they're going to blame us for doing something that they've already done. Not that we're going to do it. I see Trump losing weight. I see him doing basically almost 24 hours of work. The man is working tirelessly. He is very sound of mind. He's not babbling. He can take questions without a cue card. And they're saying that he has a mental issue.
Yeah.
This is just another nail in the coffin of the Democrats.
Yeah. So I just happened to look on Rumble, and I like the name Don't Screw With Me. Says this could have been something to do with the day Joe Biden was rushed to the hospital. You remember that? There was a day that Joe Biden was rushed to the hospital. Did they ever say what the reason why he had to be rushed to the hospital?
That is very. In fact, they were almost kind of saying it was a conspiracy theory. They never.
Yeah, because I
remember he was at an event
Lower
or
Loomer.
something.
Lower Loomer, she went viral on X talking about Joe Biden being rushed to the hospital, and they all said it was a conspiracy, that it wasn't true, that he didn't have to go to the hospital. But apparently, I remember he did, because afterwards they came out and said, there was nothing wrong with him, and they covered it up. There could have been part of it. And to my understanding, some of the drugs that they put Joe Biden on, one of them is called liprosum or lipro pill or something like that. I don't know.
Did you say liberal pill?
Yeah, liberal pill. Liberal pill. Yeah, liberal pill, right?
They put him on a liberal pill.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
that could be very well. That's a brainwashing pill.
Yeah, I mean,
we're joking here. This
not
isn't
that they
real.
didn't have to put him on one, but yeah, I can't remember. Don't hold me to the name, okay? But there was a doctor saying that they put him on some kind of drug that does something with the testosterone levels in his body, and they said one of the side effects is that loss of memory, your cognitive ability can be affected by it. And if so, this was something that Joe Biden was going through for some time now. So if that's the case, we could see that something was wrong with Joe Biden in 2018.
That's interesting too, because they literally said that this is hormone based. So, I mean, maybe those shots were because of the cancer. It's so sad. It's so sad because I mean, I know people have had cancer and I know they just want to keep living and keep going. But I blame him for allowing everybody around him to tell him he could keep going when literally his mind and his physical body was telling him something different.
I mean, I was calling it elderly abuse.
It was elderly abuse.
I was saying what 100%. They're doing to this man is not right. I mean, he should have been sitting somewhere relaxing, driving his convertible, hopefully knowing to stop at the stop sign, I didn't remember that was a stop sign, Joe Biden. They should have put him out to the pasture. They should have just let him retire. But they used Joe Biden. This is how evil these people are. They don't care. You know how the movie Weekend at Bernie's, right? Is it Weekend at Bernie's? Weekend at Barney's, whatever it is. I think about Bernie Sanders, right? Weekend at Bernie's, but it's Weekend at Biden's. And Biden could have just been a corpse walking around, and they would have been perfectly fine with that as long as they can prop him up. But anyways, he could have said that. Come on, man. But anyways, they didn't care. This is how evil these people are because they're so drunk on power. They want to be able to, they want to control so much. The auto pen. I mean, come on. I mean, there's so many things here. I saw this video earlier, and this is with Tim Pool. He was on with Jesse Waters, and while he was on there, Tim Pool brought up a very valid point that there's probably going to be, or I'm in agreement with him, that I can imagine that there's going to be lawsuits that are going to come up. Exactly what did Joe know? Joe Biden did executive orders. Joe Biden was signing documents constantly, but it was with the auto pen.
That is so true.
Joe Biden is not coherent. He wasn't coherent.
Gosh, and this is huge, actually.
It is.
This is like a huge story.
This is one of the biggest scandals in American history. And they're all trying to act like we just need to move on. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
We just need to move on.
The poor guy has cancer. Leave him alone.
Yeah, that's exactly what. You know what else, Shannon? They're saying that the poor guy had cancer. Leave him alone. You're being mean. No. They knew something was wrong with him. We all knew something was wrong with him. And now, Shannon, because the Democrat Party is crumbling the way that it is, they're going to blame this on Joe. I'm telling you right now, they're blaming this on Joe.
Well, somebody has to take the fall. I mean, let's be honest. And why not on the guy that is the closest to being on his way out. You know what's also going to be sad, Will?
Well, I mean, you
Is
ever work at a job and then that person, you're working at a job and someone's working with you and the coworker is like, and somewhat okay. And then they leave and they go to another company and then you have stuff that's broke in your company and you just go ahead and blame it on that person. Oh, this is because of so-and-so, because they're gone. This is what they're doing with Joe Biden. The Democrats are saying, this is Joe's fault. He's gone. It's his fault that they lost the election. It's his fault that the economy was in shambles. Well, they're not really saying that part, but that is Joe Biden's fault. They're going to blame everything for Joe, and they're going to say, let's move forward and let's not look at what we did as the Democrat Party.
I mean, that's their new thing. We're just going to move forward, right? But listen, my mom, she actually had cancer. It metastasized to her bones as well. Literally, there's only like a 30 to 40% chance, same with Joe Biden's cancer, of him, of a regular person that's in great health, to even make it to 5 years. So Joe Biden, being of 82 years old, I hate to say it, but he's blessed with living a very full life. My question is to you, Will, what do you think is going to happen to his family? I mean, because literally Joe has been their gravy. He's been their money train. And I'm not just talking about Hunter Biden and Jill Biden. I'm talking about his brothers and his sister and grandchildren. At this point, Joe's been their money. So what is going to happen to them? Yeah. They have to be thinking of that.
Yeah. So really quick, I want to say thank you to Filter Dog for the gold pills on peel.net. Thank you so much for those gold pills. And how do you say that? Ghoster? I'm not sure how to say that, so I do apologize. But it puts out a good point out here. It says, you remember, Joe Biden told us he had cancer in 2022. You remember
it's Ghostwriter.
Well,
and that's true. We have that video.
Did it say Ghostwriter?
It's Ghostwriter, but
okay, yeah, sure. There's no H in there.
He spelt it a little different.
Okay. So that's what threw me off.
You know how people do. But I believe we have that video.
Yeah, let's play this. Play this. I mean, thank you, Ghostwriter. I mean, look, see, great minds think alike. I got you. Watch this.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Did you hear it? Did you catch it? Let me go back to the last few seconds of that, just in case anyone missed it. Listen really close.
That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
I mean, when he said that during that time, we were all saying, did you hear what he said? And the radical liberal media kept saying it was a gaffe. It was just a gaffe. Really? It was a gaffe? Joe Biden was speaking the truth. And he wasn't supposed to say it. And I think this was one of the times that the White House had to come back and, retract what Joe Biden said. Because, he would go out there and he would tell the truth about something, and the White House would say, nope, that's not what he meant to say. There were so many times that took place. So many times. Well, Joe Scarborough, one of the main ringleaders in the Democrat Party, he brings a doctor on, and I want you to listen to what this doctor says about Joe Biden on what Joe Scarborough. Is Joe Scarborough going to apologize to all of the people that he lied to? Well, he probably said, well, I'm just giving my opinion. Your opinion is doo-doo, it's crap. Because you're sitting in a position where you reach a few 100,000 people and you get them to believe the nonsense that they're believing. You lied.
Going to run for president for another 4 years. Obviously, the PSA exam is not 100% accurate, and I've never met a doctor that doesn't say you needed to do the PSA exam and also have the physical exam as well. I just find it hard to believe that any White House physician wouldn't say, okay, well, what my doctor and what every other doctor says, which is, okay, we've done the PSA test and that's fine, but at least once a year, we need to do a physical exam. Again, if you're just talking about a 78-year-old guy that is not running the free world, that's one thing. But if you're a White House physician and you have any man over 40 years old, are you not going to at least say, hey, once a year, like every other physician says, once a year, we need to do a physical exam and check? Because this is like one of the leading causes, one of the leading sicknesses for men over 40.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I think 100%. And did they do a digital rectal exam to assess his prostate? Again, typically that's done in the presence of symptoms. To your point, he's the leader of the free world. Did they do it and not characterize it? It's hard to know. We're speculating here. I would say in an abundance of caution, probably be holistic and comprehensive. That would make sense. It is interesting to note that President Trump's, President Obama's, and President Bush II, in their most recent physicals, in their terms of office, obviously 2025 for President Trump, did comment on their PSA levels. And so they got screened while in office and they commented on it. It's not easy to access the most recent ones from President Biden. You can read the summary articles. I couldn't access it on the archive site on the White House just before I came on. But according to those that were able to, there is not a report of a PSA test on the most recent physical that was read out for President Biden's last year in office. And so it's to say what was done, what was not done. You and I would be speculating, but the other three most recent occupants of the White House had it drawn and it was reported out in the case of President.
Wow. So they had information on basically all the presidents in the past, except for Joe Biden. Even President Trump, even recently here with President Trump. But Joe Biden, they're still keeping it on the wraps. There's probably even more. You know what, Shannon? The cancer might just be like, this is my thinking about this. Release the information about Joe Biden and his cancer so that people feel sorry for him, sympathy, and be like, give it kind of excuse. He has cancer, leave the man alone type deal. But they won't release anything else. And I think so that way it's like a distraction, get people just to pay attention to that and not think about anything else.
Well, do you think that that's why that Trump made them release the Her report? Because it literally shows that there was some kind of a mental issue going on.
I think there's more going on here. And the fact that that auto pen was used for so many documents, did Joe Biden even know that they were even getting signed? I don't think that he did. They probably hopped him up on something because you noticed something when he came out for the debate, that one debate the State of the Confusion that he did, Joe Biden, he came out there and it looked like he had his stuff together, but then the very next day, pew, it's like whatever he was on wore off.
Yeah, they pumped him up with something.
Yeah, it would appear.
Come on, listen.
It would appear to be that they hopped him up on something.
Listen. We believe our eyes now.
Oh, we did then.
We did then. Absolutely. It's only and it's interesting now because now you have Democrats, which we're going to show here in a few minutes, where there's actually Democrats going, you know what? This is a huge scandal and it's on them.
Yeah, it is on them. All right, let's talk about this coffee really quick if we can do that. The 1775coffee.com/studio. We need to go check this out.
Yep, absolutely.
Check it out.
So if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also going to get, check this out, a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic, a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler, which is pretty awesome, that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch.
Nice.
$170 worth of coffee and gear, all yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Well, spoiler alert, everybody, it actually is.
Yes.
Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. That's 1775coffee.com/studio.
Nice, nice. And thank you for that, Shannon. Let me bring up something really quick before I go to another video from the blast from the past. Ret66 on peel.net, Rot66 on peel.net says, hello, all. Great job Saturday at Tesla. So, yes, I had the great opportunity to go back to a Tesla protest. And I was asking these idiot liberals what did they think about 8647. And, you know, for the most part, they all act like, what does that mean? I don't know what it means. Stupid liberals. I mean, it's really bizarre. So I tried to get it. I ran out of time. I was going to try to have a clip to share with everybody to show some of that. One of the things before I move on here is that at the end, with all the other radical liberals left, there was two dudes left. And one of them, they were staying across the street the entire time. One of them crossed the street after everybody left, and he came over there and he started pushing them. I said, you want to talk? Let's have a conversation. He didn't want to have a conversation with me. He pushed me. And I told him, I said, you don't push me. See, I give you one time. You know, you push me one time, I give you one time. You give me one time. Ret. Okay. Ret is correct. Yeah, I give you one time. You push me one time. Okay. You know, you're not the heat of the moment, whatever. But he actually wanted to fight me. And he told me the next time I go back out there that he's going to have his boys there to put me down. This next Saturday. So if you're interested in seeing any of this, you know, I should probably go to peel.net. I should probably go live to peel.net when I do this, because I go live on Rumble and YouTube. I think next time when I go back out there, I'm going to make it where I go live on peel.net as well. But he said next time I come back out there, he's gonna bring his homeboys and deal with me. And I said, I mean, I've been here all day. What are you waiting on?
We also need to give people address if they want to come out there and support you and stand with you, because you were the only one out there.
I'm not scared. I'm the only American out there. And I know many people would show up, but they don't allow people in Texas on these tech platforms. They don't allow too many people from Texas to see where Will Johnson is. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how they're doing it. But nonetheless, I plan on going back out there this Saturday, and just to see if they're going to have their homeboys show up. Because he said he's going to have his homeboys show up and put me down. Basically, he's going to have Trans Tifa show up. Because that's what he said. He's a member of Trans Tifa. And he says he's going to have them show up to come deal with me this next Saturday. So if you're interested, make sure got the notifications turned on for YouTube and Rumble and Peeled. Because I'm gonna remember to go live on Peel.
And I actually think I'm gonna call the police before you go out there.
You're gonna call the cops?
I'm just gonna let them know that guy threatened you.
He did threaten me.
If they want the video, I'll send them the video.
Actually, I'm gonna cut that part out and I'm gonna put it on social media. I meant to do that over the weekend, but I got busy.
Yeah, we need to send it to the police.
I'm gonna take that part out there. You can. I wasn't going to, but I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm gonna say, look, this dude threatened me, and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna see if he's gonna hold it. Now, some people are saying, Will Johnson, don't go. Will Johnson, don't go. The reason why I'm going is because if we continue to back down to these Democrats, we're going to continue down the same path that got us to the position we're in this country right now. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not going to be violent. I'm going to exercise my freedom of speech. These radical Democrats going out there trying to shut down Tesla when Tesla stocks are going through the roof now. They're trying to end American jobs. If they can go out there and peacefully protest, so can Will Johnson. But they don't want Will Johnson out there because Will Johnson blows a narrative in their stupid agenda, and they don't like it. So I'm going to continue to do the right thing. They don't want me to, but I'm going to. I'm not going to back down. I'm not violent. I'm not violent. But they are. They are. They are. Okay, let's get back to some of this other stuff. Here's a blast from the past where Adam Pencilneck Schiff, he was so angry with Robert Hur because of what he came out in his report, and he said that it was political, as if Adam Schiff didn't do anything that's political. As if going after President Trump, trying to put President Trump in jail wasn't political. Really? Give me a break, Pencilneck.
What is in the rules, Mr. Hur, what is in the rules is you don't gratuitously do things to prejudice the subject of an investigation when you're declining to prosecute. You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign. You were not born yesterday. You understood exactly what you were doing. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language. You could have said vis-a-vis the documents that were found at the university, the president did not recall. There is nothing more common. You know this, I know this. There is nothing more common with a witness of any age when asked about events that are years old to say, I do not recall. Indeed, they're instructed by their attorney to do that if they have any question about it. You understood that. You made a choice. That was a political choice. It was the wrong choice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Arizona, did special counsel wish to respond to that final question?
Yes, Congressman, what you are suggesting is that I shape, sanitize, omit portions of my reasoning and explanation to the Attorney General for political reasons.
No, I suggest that you not shape your report for political reasons, which is what you did.
That did not happen, Congressman. That did not happen.
And that's exactly what Pencilneck was suggesting. He was probably doing a parody. He lies like no tomorrow. Remember, Adam Pencilneck Schiff used to be in the House of Representatives, but he got censored because of all his lying. And then the stupid people in California elected him as the senator from California to take Dianne Frankenstein's position. But he has a replacement in the House, and that's Representative Goldman. Goldman is a spitting image of Adam Schiff when it comes to lying, just blatantly lying. Now, Shannon just mentioned about these Democrats. They're having to admit it. They don't like it. Every last one of them, they should feel like idiots because they knew something was wrong with Joe Biden and they kept trying to convince everybody else, don't believe what you're seeing. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. They lied and they're still lying, trying to act like, well, this wasn't, we really can't fall on us. This is Joe Biden's fault.
You were on the record in 2022 voicing concerns about Biden's age and ability. Whom do you blame for the decision of him to run for re-election and the decision to hide his declining abilities as much as they were able to?
Take responsibility yourself, Jake the Snake. He constantly said that Joe Biden was capable of running. There's nothing wrong with Joe. And then he writes a book, and then all of a sudden they're all talking about this book, and as if he didn't know, and this revelation happened within the last 250 days that something was wrong with Joe. When they saw Joe Biden, I bet you Jake the Snake started writing his book as soon as Joe Biden lost that debate. It would not surprise me. I would like to know the starting date when he started writing that book. But anyways, listen to who they want to blame.
Well, look, at the top end, you have to blame him because he made the decision. But he was, and your book reflects this in many different ways, he was shielded by a coterie of advisors and his family. They were in this confirmation bubble, and they tried to shield the world from his decline, and they tried to shield him from his own standing and his polling numbers and so on. And so at the end of the day, I have to point the finger at the people around him who didn't do him a service by encouraging him to continue. I think it was obvious to the public. It may not have been obvious to a lot of politicians. I actually think it was, but it wasn't politically wise in their judgment to speak out. But it was obvious to the American people, even before that debate, that the president was just too old. He would have been closer to 90 than 80 if he had won re-election, and he already was showing decline. So I blame the people around him, because real loyalty, and it's hard when you work for President Jake to tell them hard truths, but real loyalty demanded that they say, Mr. President, it's just not there, and it's not in your interest, and it's better for you, the country, and the Democratic Party if you leave now.
Van, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because of what you saw on the stage. And with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information. Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
Do you feel like you were duped? Van Jones lied too. How could you feel duped when you were in on it? How could you feel duped? See, they're trying to act stupid. They're trying to act like, well, we didn't know. Well, we thought there might have been something wrong, but we're not going to pay attention to it because we hate Trump more. How do you feel duped?
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country and about just the dynamics of power, this is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so, I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration, and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out, and so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
A massive cover-up out of the pie hole of the donkey mouth Van Jones, a massive cover-up. Who were they covering it up against? I mean, now the cancer issue, that was a cover-up. I didn't know. We knew something was wrong with Joe, but we didn't know it was that. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, right? Just to be clear, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But if they were covering that up, what else did they cover up? They covered up so much. Again, this is one of the biggest scandals in American history. And it's so bad, the Democrats, they're basically turning on each other. I mean, they really are. Listen to this one. Listen to this one, because, and again, Shannon, let me ask you the question, because I can hear you. How do you, if you're complicit with it, how are you the one getting duped? Do you feel duped if you were complicit with it? Because Van Jones is not stupid. He knew something was wrong with Joe.
I mean, I think he did too, and that's why it's so frustrating when you hear these people talk now, because a lot of them don't want to look to themselves as part of that problem. They don't want to look to themselves as you were part of the cover-up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now they're just like, oh, this is so terrible. Like, all of a sudden, nobody is to blame but Biden. Like, poor Biden. They're kind of putting him out there as he's the problem. And no one else is going to be held accountable for their part in it. Jean-Pierre was part of the problem. Joe Biden was a part of the problem. His inner circle was a part of the problem. And none of them are going to come out and, of course, admit it. And the Democrat Party as a whole, including the liberal media, they're so complicit with the lies. It's disgusting. They did the same thing with the laptop. They did the same thing with where did Biden get any money from China? We now know that has been proven. I mean, there's so many things they've been covering up for Biden to the point where it's almost hilarious. I mean, Biden's exposed them.
And they're still upset because Joe Biden's still going on these talk shows and making
he was
them
just
look
on
bad.
What was
and I'm
it?
like, dude, we need for you to stop going out there. He's still doing it. Just went on with the Witches of the View.
Yeah, the Witches of the View last week.
Yeah, and they're upset about it. Listen to this one, because they're upset. Watch.
First of all, people were put to shame me and others out there that talked about Joe Biden's mental acuity. We were told he was sharp as a tack, he had a photographic memory, he was intense and brilliant. And what's amazing is the sources of this book were the same sources that told us that we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. It's a stutter. Stop talking about him. The fact is they were managing his decline in a nursing home in the White House.
Oh my goodness. The same ones. The same ones. He's talking about Jake the Snake. Remember Jake the Snake? Was it, I think it was, who was it? Was he talking with Nancy Mace? I think it was. No, it wasn't Nancy Mace. Who was it? I can't forget the young lady he was talking to. And they were saying that it's a stutter. And she said it's not a stutter. Or was it Christy Nome? I can't remember. But it wasn't a stutter. It was not a stutter. And they knew it wasn't a stutter. No one was talking about a stutter. Joe Biden couldn't remember anything. That's what they were referring to. And then you have this nut job. And they call him Chris, what they call him, Chris MS-13 Van Hollen. You know, this is the liberal that went down to El Salvador trying to bring the MS-13 member back to the United States of America. A political stunt, trying to say we're going to fight against Trump. We're going to bring him back. And he went down there and it completely fell flat on his face. And now she's asking him about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. And then he tries to flip it to something completely different. And then she brings him back in. But this is how the Democrats are. They don't want to acknowledge it.
I'm sure you've been tracking all the headlines and the conversation about President Biden and what happened with that debriefing of him by the special counsel Hur during that Justice Department investigation of his mishandling of classified information. No charges were brought, but the audio of that was obtained by Axios, and you hear the president halting at times. Remember, Hur was the one who said President Biden was a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And Democrats really pushed back at the time at that, saying that sounded very political. In hindsight, do you think Democrats were too willing to look the other way?
Well, hindsight is 2020. We know a lot more now than we knew then.
Oh, whatever.
I can just say personally, I had limited interactions with President Biden at the time. He came to the Key Bridge in Maryland when it collapsed, and we had a good conversation.
Really, we knew something was wrong with Joe Biden before that happened. Where did we go here? We knew something was wrong with Joe Biden. It was no secret. It was no secret. Something was wrong with Joe Biden before that bridge collapsed. And you had one meeting with him and you couldn't tell. So what about Will Johnson and everybody else, the millions of other people watching Joe Biden, understanding that something was wrong with Joe? How was it that you didn't know? We didn't have a meeting with him. Millions of us never sat down with Joe Biden, had a conversation with him, and we could see that something was wrong. So your constituents that you're not even fighting for, because they're not MS-13 members, they're probably going to end up voting for you because they're idiots. Let's put it that way.
So hindsight is 2020.
Hindsight.
Obviously, if we could redo this tape and play it over again,
really,
we would do things differently.
You know why? Because they lost. That's the only reason why they're even talking about this. If they didn't lose and that wicked witch from the West was in the White House, they wouldn't even be talking about Joe Biden. I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't even care to say, okay, well, the cancer, they'd be talking about it. And well, we need to do more cancer research. You know, Joe Biden, I'm surprised they hadn't brought that up. Joe Biden said that he wants to work really hard on cancer research because he wanted to be the first one to solve it. We're going to solve it. You remember that? You remember that, Shannon? That's the only thing that they would be saying about it. But now, it's the fact that they were hiding all this information is what they're discussing. Had the wicked witch from the West won and she was in the White House, they wouldn't even be talking about anything that Joe Biden was hiding. They wouldn't be talking about the auto pen. They wouldn't be talking about they wouldn't be talking about any of it. None of it.
Do you feel like you have to explain and defend that now? I mean, there was a piece in the Washington Post from Dan Balls who said Democrats were either covering up then or covering their behinds now.
No. Well, look, I mean, I think we can acknowledge that this was people overlooked a serious problem, or were just not aware.
Willingly.
Well, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of this, but we are focused on the future right now. I mean, right now we have the Republican tax plan, which is a giveaway to the rich. We have, we didn't talk about it, but Donald Trump's visit to the Middle East. My view is the overall narrative here was selling out U.S. national interests for the private gain of his family business. He essentially...
Listen, he's lying. The private gain to his family's business. Is he talking about Joe Biden and the Biden crime family? There's no private gain here. This airplane that they keep referring to, they started this when Joe Biden was in office. Joe Biden's no longer there, and they built it, and they're like, well, President Trump, do you want it? President Trump can say, no, you keep it. I don't want it. They didn't come out and say, oh, President Trump, here's a plane for you. Give us what we want. This dude is lying.
Gave away the crown jewels of American AI and semiconductor technology to the Gulf in exchange. Yeah. In exchange, it looks like, for a $2 billion investment in the Trump family stablecoin venture.
Another topic, but on this point,
you see that she brought him back in. Another topic, but on this point,
here you want to look forward. I do too.
See, they all want to look forward, right? But they know that when people realize that the Democrats have been lying to them all this time, because there's a lot of stupid people out there that's been believing it. And when they realize it, oh goodness, they've been lying to us. What else have they been lying to us? See, they're trying to get ahead of it. They're trying to prevent that from happening. But I encourage everybody that's a radical liberal, are you okay with them lying to you? You constantly said President Trump is lying. President Trump is lying. These liars were telling you that President Trump was lying. But you're probably going to believe him if you're a radical left suffering from TDS.
But don't Democrats have to reckon
where'd we go
with this and say to the public that the answer to that question,
I think we've all acknowledged that if we had the benefit of hindsight, we would have done things differently. I don't know if all of us have. I've recognized that. But at this point, it seems to me the American people are much more interested in the conversation as to the future of our country and the damage that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing every day.
Oh, my goodness. President Trump, Elon Musk, they're actually getting the country back on track. And this is what the Democrats don't like. This is what they don't like. They can't stand it. Hey, let me say thank you to Filter Dog. I think Filter Dog is talking about the tip jar, maybe, because I say every time I say Democrat, people have been donating to me every time I say Democrat, adding to the tip jar. So thank you so much for that, Filter Dog. And Filter Dog said, maybe I should go to a biker bar, Shannon, and buy them a beer. And then they tell them what I'm going to be doing Saturday. And they'll show
that's
up.
Actually a good idea.
Yeah, so, you
good tip.
Might be on
now we don't know where a biker bar is.
I got to find one. I have to find one.
All right. Well, let's talk about this real quick. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought the platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to the pressure from Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask for from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment, and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble's offering you $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and you believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are just happy that you watch us on Rumble.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. All right, everybody. That is it for me. If you haven't already, can y'all hit the thumbs up? At least hit the thumbs up on Rumble and YouTube and the red pill on pill.net. Please hit that thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And also, let me remind everyone, uniteamericafirst.com. If you haven't done this either, this is completely free. Sign up for my free newsletter. Sign up for the free newsletter. I would greatly appreciate it. And again, I don't spam everybody, so don't expect me to send you out a whole bunch of stuff just blowing your email box up. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I will just send stuff out every now and then because it's something that I think that I want you to see. And if you would, while you're at my website, if you want me to help me continue to go on, uniteamericafirst.com/donate. You can see there's multiple ways right there where you can become a monthly subscriber to help me out, to help me keep going, or a one-time option, which you can see down here just a little bit below if we can scroll down. Right there, we got the Cash App, PayPal, the normal ones that you constantly see, or my physical address. My physical address is right there, everybody. And let me tell you this, every single person since the very first one that I've ever received, I have retained every single letter and the envelope from every single person that has blessed me in the past.
And we won't tell you this, but our studio air conditioner is not working today. We're praying that we can get it fixed, but if you want to help us get it fixed, we sure would appreciate it.
I would greatly appreciate it. It's warm
we
in
have
here.
fans on everywhere.
It's warm in here. Yeah, my AC in my studio has gone out, and the funds to get it replaced is pretty rough. And while Filth the Dog, thank you again for the gold pills. Thank you so much for the gold pills. It says giddy up. Bandits Bar. Oh, Bandits Bar have bandits going on this weekend. Okay. I have to check it out. Thank you so much for the Go Pill. And for everyone that wants to help me, if you want to help me get my AC back on, whatever comes to your heart, please go to my website.
It's hot here in Texas.
Huh?
It's hot here in Texas.
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
in Texas, so you already know the deal. So I can only do this with your support. I am 100% viewer supported. I really am. I'm 100% viewer supported. So without your support, I can't do any of this. And it's been pretty rough. You can see how like they've been really knocking down my numbers. I used to be able to go live and I would get hundreds of people tuning in. But since I'm not sure what happened, but they've kind of they've just really hit it down. And I don't even really, and even on Facebook is just like the worst. I mean, I don't even know why. Some people ask me to go ahead and get off of Facebook altogether, but I stay on Facebook because there's a lot of wonderful people still on Facebook. So I just may get away from Facebook altogether. And if people want to see me, they have to go to the other platforms. It is what it is. All right, everybody, that's it for me. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up again. See you tomorrow. Take care.